Good morning, dear students. I'm Miss Navita Sheikh. Today we'll be learning the next part of this chapter, the living world, adaptation and classification. In our previous session, we have already learned about adaptation in plants, and today we will be learning about adaptation and classification in animals. So let's get started. Okay, so here in this picture, you can see so many different types of animals, and we know that animals play a huge part of our everyday life. We could not live without them because they help in maintaining the ecosystem. But how do they survive? Animals have adapted to their environment in many ways. So, in this chapter, we will be learning about how these animals have adapted successfully to survive in various ways, and that ways we are going to see in this session. Depending upon various factors like the habitat that they are living in, means the place where they are living, whether it is a forest, whether it is an water aquatic area, or whether it is a region where you have too much of snowfall, according to that they have adjusted themselves. So this adaptation in animals, today we'll be learning about how they've adapted according to the habitat that they are living in. Okay, so let's continue. Let's get started with the adaptation in aquatic animals. Alright, so as we start with aquatic animals, so the very first animal which comes into our mind when we talk about aquatic, the word aquatic, it gets related with the fish, right? So the fish here you can see we have a diagram which helps us to understand the different parts of the fish. Okay, once you know the parts of the fish, then you know how they have adapted and how they are able to live inside water. Okay, so the very important parts that we will be learning in this session are the gills, the scales, the fins, and the fins are of various types. So the pectoral fin, the dorsal fin, the caudal fin, the pelvic fin, and the anal fin. Okay, and there is also important thing, that is the lateral line. These things are very important because we will be learning about them in detail. First thing that we are talking about today is the gills. When you see the fish, you can see this part that is called as the gill, just besides the mouth. Fish have a tendency to take in water through their mouth and give out through the gills. Now, what exactly are the gills doing? The gills are helping the fish to breathe. Now, we all know that fishes do not have lungs like humans, and the water which is there has oxygen dissolved in it. But this fish have a very specialized organ called as gills, which helps them to absorb the oxygen which is already present in the water, and it helps them to breathe through the process of respiration. Okay, so the fish use their gills to breathe. They suck in water through their mouth and breathe out through their gills. Important thing that we will be learning is the lateral line. The lateral line is a line of very small pores that senses water movement and vibration. They help them to see how the water is moving, whether the current is fast or slow. Okay, so they can move accordingly. The next important part of the fish is the scales. The scale is a protective covering over the fish. Now, you all have experienced that if you stay inside water for a longer period of time, you must have seen the difference in your skin texture. Okay, so imagine if the fish is staying inside the water throughout the life, what will happen if there is no scales? So scales are very important because they are hard coat. They are thin but they are hard. Okay, which is overlapping one above the other, and it helps and it acts as a slime over it so that nothing gets stuck to it and their body is also protected. The next is fins. Fins are used for swimming and sometimes for protection also. How protection? Some of the fishes have a very spine-like fins which help them to protect themselves from the predators. Okay, they are made of skin with tiny bones and cartilages in them. Fins come in lots of shapes and sizes. Okay, so it is The next adaptation that we'll be learning is adaptation in amphibian animals. Now, amphibian, the word amphibian stands for living animals living both on land and in water. They have their they have modified their body is modified in such a way that they can live both in water and on land. Now let's see how is it possible. Here there are two images. You can see a duck and you can see frogs. These two animals are well known and you must have seen it also. If you haven't seen it by your eyes, you must have seen it in the television, where you must have seen the frogs jumping from the water onto the land, or they are moving on the leaves or trees. Same way the ducks can walk on the land and they can swim also. Now, how is it possible? Because the frog here you can see, we'll take this example, very simple one. They have two organs which helps them to breathe. Okay, they have lungs also and they have skin also. Now skin, we also have skin, but their skin is modified. Their skin helps to absorb oxygen which is already present in water. So when they go into the water, the skin acts as a organ of respiration. Okay, they help them to take in oxygen and breathe. Whereas when they are on land, the skin doesn't work, the lung starts to work and they take in oxygen and help them to breathe. Okay, so the skin here is a very important part of adaptation. The skin is the lining of the mouth cavity of many adult amphibians are thin and richly supplied with blood vessels. Okay, they have watery mucus which is secreted by glands in their skin. One more important thing that they have is their leg bones. They have legs of land vertebrate must be strong enough to hold its weight. Okay, so they have long legs so they can jump. And there are a few more important things that we are going to learn is the adaptation in ducks. They have two kinds of feathers. Okay, the flight feathers which help them to fly and the ones which help them to keep warm. Ducks have flat feet who help them swim in the water. Now, these feet are web shaped. Okay. Now, we will be learning about that also. Apart from that, oily feathers help them to be waterproof. Means their feathers are coated with a waxy layer which doesn't let the water seep into their body and it rolls off. Now, this is what you can see in this picture. You can see two girls are uh, in a boat, and the handles that you can see, those are called as oars. Now, why I have taken this picture? In order to explain you what is oars. Okay, so here you can see a frog. Frogs have webbed feet. Okay, most of the amphibians have webbed feet because they need to move in that particular fashion. Now, the frogs can actually swim easily on inside the water with the help of these webbed feet, and they can jump also easily on the surface of the land. Same way, the ducks also have webbed feet which acts like oars while swimming. Okay, oars you all have understood. जब हम लोग चप्पू बोलते हैं ना, चप्पू चलाना, the same thing happens with the webbed feet of these amphibians. So, in short, what have we studied about amphibious animals? Animals that live both on land and water are called amphibious animals. Some other animals like water snakes, crocodiles, tortoise, crabs also spend a part of their life in water and part on land. Frog is an amphibian. It inhabits both land and water. Being a true amphibian, it can breathe in water with the help of skin, and when on land, it breathes with nose and lungs. Now here, duck is a bird. It cannot take oxygen dissolved in water. So it breathes only with the help of lungs. It does not have that specialized skin. But the other things that are there in the amphibian is, whereas we talk about tortoise, it is a reptile that cannot breathe in water. It puts its nose out of the water to get some air. There are webbed toes in frogs and duck, oar-like legs. As I explained you what is the meaning of oar. Both these helps in swimming. Okay. So few examples of amphibious animal is this water hen also. They have a water or they have waxy coating on their feathers which help in quick draining of water from their body, and they do not get wet. Like if you go into the water, your body gets fully drained. Okay, but these animals, these birds we talk about, if they go inside the water also, they do not get, the feather has this waxy coating and the water rolls off from their feather. So the next adaptation that we're going to talk about is in forest and grassland animals. When you talk about forest and grassland animals, there's a picture in your mind about animals moving around in long grasses, and there are huge trees and there are various types of animals, and especially we think about animals like zebras, lion, tigers, giraffe, dinosaurs, right? And that is actually right. Adaptation in grasslands and forest animals. These animals are very, very, very important to understand because they're very interesting also. Here you can see we're talking about carnivorous animals first. Carnivores are animals which are survive on the animals, other animals like the herbivores. Okay, animals which are eating other animals for their survival, for their nutrition, are called as carnivorous animals. Okay, so this way, the next in the next later part also you have this. So remember that carnivorous animals. Now, speciality of the carnivorous animals are these animals have strong legs with sharp claws. You can see how sharp claws they have. Claws are nothing but the nails that you can see coming out. These are very sharp. They can tear their prey in one shot. Okay. Now, how do they walk? They walk silently. Means they have padded paws. Means their legs have the region which is the lower region of their leg. They are very padded, and they walk very silently, so that if they are going for hunting, nobody can make out whether the lion or a tiger is on their way towards them. Next, they have their eyes in front of their head so that they can see very clearly how the prey is going here and there. Okay, so they have keen eyesight to spot the prey from long distance also. Then you are here in this picture, you can see the teeth. The teeth, they have pointed canines. Means if they are going for a hunt, if they get into the prey, the teeth directly penetrates into the skin and they die immediately. Okay. So teeth are very important for carnivorous because it helps them to tear the animal. Okay, it cannot be done with our teeth. You cannot do it, right? So we have different teeth, we have different purpose. These animals are feeding onto other herbivorous animals which have thick layers of skin, and in order to tear them and eat that meat of the other animal, they need to have strong and pointed canines. The next one is the animals have small ears. A few examples of carnivorous animals are here on the screen, and we have seen them all. Not all, but few of them, like the wild dog, fox, tigers, and lions. Okay, so I hope carnivorous animals are clear. Now we move on to the next type of animals and their adaptation, that is the herbivorous animals. Herbivorous animals are animals which eat only grass and leaves. Okay, they do not eat other animals. So, what are the things which are important to know about them? Their legs. Their legs are long, tapering legs with strong hooves. Hooves means the lower part. Okay, so that when they are running over the grasslands and the very hard region, they do not hurt themselves because they have to be very careful from the carnivorous animals to avoid them to eat. Right. So everybody wants to be happy and live a longer life. Same way the herbivorous animals also want. So they have adapted their body in such a way that their legs are long and tapering, means they are not very thick. Okay, thin होते हैं उनके legs. Next is they run very fast. Okay, how do they move? Running and leaping fast. Here you can see running and leaping, both the things. How beautiful they look, right? Next, the eyes. The eyes are below the forehead on either side of the head. Okay, not like the carnivores. Carnivores had in front of them, but here these animals have on either side so that they can have a view, larger view of the regions on either sides also. Okay, so they can see what is happening around. They have long and freely moving ears so that they can sense about the smallest and tiniest sound also they can easily identify. Their teeth have strong molars. Strong molars means when they are eating, see here you can see the giraffe here, they are eating, they have strong molars because they do not have canines like the carnivores. They do not need animals, they do not need them, but they need strong molars because they want to eat the leaf. Okay, so I hope with this herbivorous animals and their adaptation is clear. Here let's have a quick revision of what we learned about animals and their adaptation in grasslands. They have flat feet when we talk about herbivorous animals. Here you can see the zebra, how brightly he is smiling, and you can see their flat feet, right? Whereas small animals can easily hide because they can easily and quickly dig burrows in the soil. The speed of the carnivores and herbivores is impeccable because cheetahs have flexible spines that help them to run fast. Okay, so these are a few adaptations that these animals in grasslands and forests have done in order to survive. The next adaptation that we're talking about is in desert animals. When we talk about desert animals, you think about a region which has very less water. There is no rainfall. There is so much amount of sand, right? And that is true. And how do animals and plants live there? We've already learned about how plants survive there. Today we'll see how animals have modified themselves so that they could live in this particular region. Now, staying in shadow. Some of the animals here they live in shadow and they seek shelter by burrowing into the ground. Like here, another behavioral adaptation used by desert animal is to remain inactive during the hot daylight hours. Means they cover themselves inside the sand like the snake is doing, and they remain there inactive during the day because it is too hot, and other animals are also trying to stay like that inside the burrows or being inactive so that they escape the hot sun during the day hours. They hunt at night when the temperature is cool and there is less risk of losing their precious body water. Okay, so some animals get all the water they need from the insects, bulbs, and seed that they eat. So they will not drink water even when it is available. Okay, because they are getting it from the other animals or the seeds or the bulbs that they are eating. What adaptation helps desert animals to survive? Sleeping during the day, as I told you, the rattlesnake here you can see. The coyotes are nocturnal, means they are awake during the night hours. They come out at night when it is cooler. Okay, keeping cool, large ears and thin body hairs help animals such as the desert jack rabbits stay cool. Next is the color of their body. Some desert animals can hide in plain sight. Okay, their body covering blends in with the environment so easily that they stay safe. Okay, so these are a few adaptations which has taken over a period of long years in the desert animals. Talk about desert animals. Now, it cannot be complete without talking about the camel. Camels are animals which are very different from other animals because their body is adapted in such a way that we need to learn about it. Okay, so the first thing that we'll start with is their face. On their face, their nostrils we're talking about first. They have stretchy nostrils which cover their nose, and so that the sand, if the sand is blowing, because in the desert they need to protect their mouth and their nose, and how could it be done? With the stretchy nostrils which are there. Okay, they protect it with the stretchy nostrils so that the sand doesn't go inside their nose. Next is the leathery mouth that they have, which helps the camel eat spiky plants, because you do not have normal plants that you see here and there in your surrounding. They have cactus and other succulents growing there, and it is very difficult for them to chew. So they have these strong teeth, and their mouth is like that, designed in such a way so that they can eat the spiky plants also. Next, they have long eyelashes, because when the wind blows, even if they're moving and wind is blowing, how will they keep their eyes? They do not wear shades like us. हम लोग के पास goggles नहीं होते हैं ना हमारी तरह कि अगर धूप आ रही है हवा चल रही है तो हम लोग goggles पहन लेंगे. No. So they have designed their eyelashes have modified in such a way that they are so thick and they are so long that they help to keep the sand out of the eyes. Next is their legs. They have long legs, which keeps the camel off the hot sand and keeps the body cool. Okay, if you're standing at a very height over the stool, you will not feel the land hot, right? Same thing happens with the camel. Then they have padded feet, which stops sinking into the sand. Means if they have narrow hooves like the deers and the antelopes, it will go inside the sand every now and then. You can also, you must have also experienced that when you go to Chapati or if you go to any beach, okay, where there's sand. If you walk with your bare feet, you will notice that your feet are going inside the sand. Okay, but this doesn't happen with the camel. Why? Because of their structure of their feet. Okay, and that stops it to go into the soil sand and to protect it from the heat of the ground also. Then you have the hump for storing food. They also these feet are also said to absorb water, and the whatever food and water they eat, they store it in the hump region. Okay, this region that you can see on the back of the camel, that is called as the hump. Understood? So they have thick layer of, not thick, I would say they have a layer of hair also in order to protect them from the harsh hot sun. With this, you can see a few examples of the animals that live in desert. The scorpion, snakes, desert hare, camel, desert squirrel, grey fox. These are all animals which have adapted themselves to survive in this desert region. The next and a very interesting adaptation that takes place in animals of snowy region. Now, when we talk about snow, we all have learned about how plants in snowy regions have adapted. Now we will see about how animals in this region have adapted. There are similar animals like there is leopard, there are fox, there are dogs, there are rabbits, there are owls, many animals which are already living in the grasslands. But the ones which have come in this region, their body has been adapted in such a way that they can survive this extreme condition as well. Here we're talking about is where you have too much amount of snow, the water is chilled and the air is very cold. You cannot go there like wearing your normal clothes. So same way with the animals also. This is a bear, but this is a normal bear only. But because it is living in that particular region, its body has adapted and has developed this color of fur over it and thick layer of fur. Okay, so let's understand. The thick and silver color body helps it to blend in with the white background. Okay, so they camouflage easily in this region. Here you can see this is nothing but a fox. Okay, this is a owl. The normal owl that you see here in our areas during the night, you see they are brown in color or little grayish in color. But when we talk about Arctic animals or snowy region animals, their body has adapted in such a way that they need to camouflage also. Camouflage means they need to hide also from the predator so that they don't get eaten up. Okay, so their body, hair, and their thick layer of fur is also there. Okay, they have thick skin and thick hair on the skin, and some have thick layer of fat also inside their body to protect it from the cold. They huddle together in groups to keep themselves warm. So here you can see in this image how they are staying together so that they can be warm. Now this is an image of a silver fox. Now there are some animals apart from the animals living on land. There are some animals like the sea. They have webbed feet like the ones in the frog and duck that we talked about. They help in swimming easily, and they have a streamlined body which helps them and they make a good swimmer. Okay, so if they do not have hair, they will have thick layer of fat like the seal. Seal doesn't have thick layer of hair, but the skin is very thick and they have thick layer of fat inside their body. Okay, which helps them to protect themselves from the snowy climate. Okay, the low climate. Here you can see a mountain goat, which again has thick layer of hair over its body to protect themselves from the cold condition. This is a yak, and I hope with this adaptation of these animals are also clear to you. How do they survive by adapting? Next is adaptation in aerial animals. Aerial animals are nothing but birds. Alright, so here this image is so beautiful, right? So you just observe it and you will come to know what are we talking about, how they have adapted. This is the image of an eagle. You can see the beak, right? It is very strong in order to catch something, okay, and eat it, break the nuts and all. Whereas when you see the claws, they're very strong so that they can get a grip of the prey. Okay, I'll show you later also that. Don't worry. Then you can see that they do not have hands like the other animals have. It has been modified into wings, which help them to fly. So these are a few interesting things about aerial animals. Let us understand each one of them in detail. They have a spindle-shaped body which helps them to minimize the resistance of air while flying. Now, how have we learned about the shape of the fish? The shape of the fish helps them to move inside the water. Okay. Same way, even the birds have a special shaped body so that it can easily fly through the air. Now they have feathers covering the body. They have four legs modified into wings. Here you can see how strong it is. Next, you have air sacs in the body to increase buoyancy. Now, when they are flying, they have air sacs also. Like if I blow a balloon and if I let it into the air, it will go. It is very light in weight. Same way, they have a special air sac in their body so that they can easily fly and do not feel too much of pressure when they are up in the air. They have hollow bones, making body light in weight and adapted for flying. Means their bones are not like us, very thick. They have holes in them, which helps them to fly because they become less in weight. Okay, so these are a few examples and a few adaptations that has taken over a period of time in the aerial animals. So I hope with this you all have understood how adaptation takes place in animals according to their habitat. And in the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.